I do want to start with a graphic content warning. So if you have some young ones at home, just know that these allegations are very disturbing and some of the content here is troubling. Police say for a 12-year-old girl in Miami's Overtown neighborhood, this community garden on a June evening became the scene of a horrific crime at the hands of.
So you're 12 years old? You're 13 years old?
Two middle school-aged boys.
We have a grand jury indictment charging.
Now facing serious charges to include kidnapping as adults accused of a violent act of sexual battery. The 12-year-old victim telling police as she was leaving her friend's house, 13-year-old Nelson Nunez grabbed her, forcing her onto a couch in a community garden. Another boy restrained her, she said, and as 12-year-old Josiah Jones put rocks in her mouth to stop her from screaming, Nunez, she said, raped her. The co-defendants only stopping about 30 minutes later when they heard her father calling out her name. And just minutes ago, we learned from the Miami State Attorney's Office that there is a third co-defendant, a 15-year-old by the name of Xavier Tyson, who is also facing the charges in connection that he has to this incident as an adult. And those include felonies of lewd and lascivious, as well as false imprisonment.
They put rocks in her mouth so nobody would hear her scream. They were all neighbors, and they still did this to someone they had spoken to pretty much every day for a long time. On June 18, 2025, a 12-year-old was leaving her friend's house to walk over to her house because they all lived in the same apartment complex. She sees 4 people that she knows. 3 of them end up SAing her, and they are being charged as adults. 12-year-old Josiah, 13-year-old Nelson, 15-year-old Xavier. She says that Nelson grabbed her and took her over to an area they called the garden, forced her on a couch, and they began to SA her for 30 minutes. Now, there was another child who was a minor who was just a witness. They said he didn't say anything or intervene because he was outnumbered and he was scared of getting beat up. He does confirm the story of the 12-year-old girl who will be affected by this for the rest of her life. She said that they SA'd her for 30 minutes, and the only reason that they stopped is because they heard her dad calling her name because she was supposed to be on her way back to the apartment. And they have decided to charge all of them as adults. That is even hard to have to say, but where does this behavior come from? That you are doing this to first of all, a neighbor that you know and you've known for a while. But why is this even a thought process for you? At the age of 12, at the age of 13, at the age of 15, why is this even a thought process for you to harm another person in this manner? Her mom said that they still cry about this daily. They had to completely move out of Miami because of the trauma, and they are trying to move forward. I am sure that the notification that they are trying them as adults is giving somewhat of a little bit of relief, because with an adult sentence, it is a longer period of time. But for you to have to completely uproot your entire life because of how much trauma they have caused your child is heartbreaking. They are currently being held without bond. That, of course, can change at any time, but the seriousness of the crime, it is quite possible that they will keep them in there until their trial. My heart goes out to the victim and her family as they are dealing with this very traumatic event that will forever be an impact on her life.
2 Miami boys, 12 and 13, are being charged as adults for brutally graping a 12-year-old girl for half an hour. They even put rocks in her mouth so she wouldn't scream. On June 18, 2025, the 12-year-old girl was leaving her friend's house in Overtown around 10 p.m. That's when she saw 12-year-old Josiah Jones, 13-year-old Nelson Nunez, and 2 15-year-old boys in the parking lot area. It's reported that Nelson grabbed the girl and took her to a couch within the Green Haven Project community garden as Josiah and the 2 other boys followed. The victim told the police that Josiah and one of the 15-year-old boys held her arms and her legs down so she wouldn't leave. That's when Nelson started graping her. The 15-year-old boy pulled down the victim's bra as she said, "No, stop." But he proceeded to play with her breasts as he held her down. The victim continuously screamed, "Stop, it hurts." That's when Josiah put rocks in her mouth to shut her up as the grape continued for half an hour. The victim's father heard his daughter screaming, so he yelled her name out to see where she was. That's when the boys stopped graping her and took off running. Eventually, the boys were arrested and being charged as adults. They're being held without bond. What do y'all think about this crazy story?
The 12 12-year-old victim telling police as she was leaving her friend's house, 13-year-old Nelson Nunez grabbed her, forcing her onto a couch in a community garden. Another boy restrained her, she said, and as 12-year-old Josiah Jones put rocks in her mouth to stop her from screaming, Nunez, she said, raped her. The co-defendants only stopping about 30 minutes later when they heard her father calling out her name.
Yo, this is sad. It's also disgusting. It's just despicable behavior, honestly. These boys were 12, 13, and 15 years old. To come up with a plan to attack and rape a 12-year-old girl. Another kid. Look at them, they're babies. It's ridiculous. It's sad. And of course they learned this behavior from somewhere. They saw something or someone do this. This is sad. Like, what's going on? What is going on? Babies. It's actually heartbreaking. Do you know how like much pain I would feel to find out that my son, my child, my baby rapes another kid? A 12-year-old girl ruins her life and ruined theirs because if I'm not mistaken, they're going to be charged as adults, as they should. Take them off the streets. Monsters, of course. But it's sad. It's sad. And I guarantee, well, they probably have already, but at that moment, they weren't even grasping exactly what they were doing, how they were ruining their lives. Like, this is wild. This story is wild.
So we have a very disturbing case involving children coming out of Miami. This all took place on June 18th, 2025. 12-year-old Josiah Jones, 13-year-old Nelson Nunez, and 15-year-old Xavier Tyson were out around 10 p.m. where a 12-year-old girl was walking home from her friend's house. She knows these boys. She spoke to them. And then, I guess after a polite hello, whatever, Nelson grabbed the girl and dragged her to a couch in the Green Haven Project community garden, where Xavier, when they held her down, right? So the boys, they held her down where Josiah and Xavier were. Okay, so this Xavier and Josiah were waiting in the garden when Nelson dragged her into the garden. I'm getting ahead of myself. So all three boys held her arms and her legs down, preventing her from leaving. Xavier pulled down the girl's bra and started playing with her breast while holding her hands down. And then Nelson told the boys, "Should I put it in?" And he started raping her. Okay. So the 12-year-old girl yelled, "Stop, it hurts." Then Josiah picked up rocks and put it in her mouth to silence her. The grape continued for another 30 minutes. All three boys, plus a witness, I forgot to say there was a witness. They stopped when they heard the girl's father calling her name. The fourth boy was a witness, and he said that he did not intervene because he was outnumbered. Now, I read one article which said that there was a recording of this, but it was only like a small snippet. And the witness, who's not charged or anything, said what did the article say? That that's not what your mama said, or something like that to the girl, or how your mama liked it. I don't know. He said something along those lines. And I think that was very disturbing that this boy would not intervene. I guess he was scared because, like he said, he was outnumbered, but I didn't think he was scared. Because if he was scared, he would either ran off and told somebody, or he would have did something to stop that if he was really scared. Now, um, now this is really weird for me because Nelson and Josiah were booked at the West Detention Center and were taken to adult bond court. They're being charged. These two boys are being charged as an adult, and they have no bond. But Xavier is being uh, held in juvenile court. That's very surprising to me. So, um, all three boys are being charged with false imprisonment, while Nelson and Josiah are being charged with sexual battery. Nelson is being charged with an additional kidnapping charge, while Xavier is being charged with lewd and lascivious molestation of a child. I that's one thing that I don't get. I think they all should be charged as an adult, not just two, but all three of them, because they committed this act together. But hell, what do I know? I'm just a talking head.
Let me tell y'all always want to be messy and talk about some tea. Let's talk about some real shit for a second. If you don't know me, my name is A Figure Goat, where food culture and insight meets in between bites. Now, this is a story that came across my timeline on Facebook this morning. As I was doing my research, it actually happened of 2025 of June. Why am I just hearing about it? There's a lot of controversy going on between if them being charged as adults is wrong or right. Nunez, he is the 13-year-old that raped a 12-year-old girl for 30 minutes. Now, I know what y'all thinking. Why are they both in jail? Jones, which is the 12-year-old, he was a co-defendant. Jones and Nunez and a couple of their other friends, one of the friends, they were 15 years old, but he is not being charged as an adult. They were outside in an apartment complex while Nunez saw the girl leaving her friend's house. He ended up snatching the girl. Jones and another co-defendant who was not disclosed because he was not charged as an adult, but they ended up holding her arms and her legs. Not to mention, Jones put a rock in the girl's mouth so she wouldn't scream. But God don't play about his kids. Now, there was a neighbor. She did end up hearing the girl scream for help before they put the rock in her mouth. Now, from there, the girl dad was literally looking for her, calling her name outside. That moment, that's what took these boys to stop doing what they were doing. A lot of people are like, oh, throw them under the jail. Give them life. Give them the chair. I definitely agree that they should be penalized. I won't go against that. But when are we going to start blaming the parents? They are literally 12 and 13 years old. Where are y'all parents? Where did they see something like this? Put a rock in her mouth? Restrain her and hold her arms and legs? There has to be some type of story behind them being monsters already at the age of 12 and 13. So y'all let me know in the comments, what are y'all thoughts?
Y'all for the brain, y'all, is atrocious. It is horrible. It is beyond imaginable for me as an adult, let alone a 12-year-old girl, to have to deal with and go through. These three delinquents, because this is what they are, have been charged with insane a baby, taking her innocence in one of the most horrific ways possible. These boys are between the age of 12 and 15. Josiah Jones is 12, Nelson Nunez is 13, and Xavier Tyson is 15. Here's the thing, y'all. This baby was going home, and these boys pulled her onto the couch in a Miami Gardens neighborhood. And Tyson decided that he was going to pull the girl's bra down. And when she pleaded for them to stop, Nunez then asked the other boys to hold this baby down while he did whatever he needed to do to take her innocence. They also put rocks in the baby mouth, y'all, to stop her from screaming. He then asked the other boys, do you want to enter her? They are all charged with false imprisonment. Nunez and Jones are charged with sexual battery. And Tyson is charged with lewd and lavishing acts on a child, molestation. And I'm going to say this with my whole chest. To the highest extent of the law, they need to be prosecuted as adults. This baby is going to never have a right state of mind unless she goes into deep, deep therapy for what these men or boys have done to her. Lord have mercy. I don't want to say boys because it's not registering to me, y'all. But this is horrific, and I send prayers to this little baby and their family during this time. The daddy is the reason why it stopped. It was going on for 30 minutes, y'all. This baby was in agony, pure hell. This is unfair. These delinquents need to be handled. I don't understand what's going on in the world. Y'all took that baby innocence. What the fuck? Y'all know what to do. Get in the comments. Let's go. I can't even process this, y'all.